Imagine this. You're walking through a city where half the population has vanished. The streets are silent, except for the occasional cough or wail of grief. As a plague doctor, you're both feared and desperate for answers, but here's the twist. Everything you've been taught about curing the plague is dead wrong. Let's uncover the horrifying reality of being a plague doctor in the era of the Black Death. Picture yourself in the 14th century, standing in a line with 20 other men as a city official hands you a long black coat and a strange mask. You're not a physician. You've never treated anyone before, but today you're becoming a plague doctor because the real doctors have either fled or died. The Black Death doesn't care about qualifications. It only needs warm bodies willing to walk into infected houses, and everyone knows most of those bodies won't stay warm for long. When the plague hit Europe, it created a medical crisis unlike anything before. Towns were losing half their population in months. Real physicians charging normal fees couldn't keep up with the demand, assuming they hadn't already caught the plague themselves. That's how people like you ended up in this job. Maybe you were a failed medical student, an unemployed scribe, or even a criminal given a choice between execution and putting on that mask. Records show many plague doctors were essentially press-ganged into service. One city forced condemned thieves to become plague doctors as an alternative to hanging. The training for this job lasted about as long as it took to put on the uniform. You'd get shown how to use a few basic tools, told about the miasma theory of disease, and then sent into houses where the air smelled like rotting meat. Some cities provided written instructions that read more like superstitions than medicine, telling you to avoid thinking sad thoughts around patients, or to only examine people during certain moon phases. The truth was stark. You existed because someone had to. In the absence of real medicine, society needed the theater of treatment, someone to blame, someone to beg, someone to make it look like the authorities were trying. You weren't saving lives. You were filling a role in a catastrophe no one understood, walking through hell with nothing but a bird mask and a bag of useless herbs. The first time you lift that mask to your face, the scent of dried lavender nearly makes you sneeze. The long leather beak presses against your cheeks while glass lenses make your eyes look unnaturally large. You didn't wear this mask to scare people. You genuinely thought it would protect you. It was designed based on the strongest medical theory of the time, miasma theory. The belief was that diseases spread through bad air, a concept that seemed obvious when whole neighborhoods smelled like rotting flesh. The beak shape served a purpose. It was packed with aromatic substances like mint, cloves, and crushed flowers. The idea was simple. Good smells would block bad air. Without knowledge of bacteria or fleas, the logic made sense. If foul odors cause disease, then sweet smells should prevent it. The materials tell their own story. Most masks were made from cheaper boiled leather that grew stiff in the rain. The glass eye holes often fogged up, making it hard to see your patients clearly. Some masks included small vents, but these actually let in more contaminated air. You'd rub the leather with wax or oil to make it somewhat waterproof, though after a few weeks of use, the material would crack and start to smell like sweat and herbs. Your day starts before dawn, when the town crier pounds on your door. He doesn't come inside. No one enters a plague doctor's quarters unless they have to. He simply shouts the address through the wood, then runs. You dress quickly in the dark, fastening your mask straps tight enough that the beak won't slip. The smell of last night's crushed lilies still clings to your gloves as you grab your satchel. Your satchel wasn't just a medical kit. It was a bag of dangerous superstitions dressed up as medicine. When you unclasped that worn leather bag each morning, you weren't reaching for cures. You were grabbing the remnants of centuries-old medical myths. At minimum, you'd have a wooden cane for examining patients without touching them, a knife for lancing buboes, and several linen cloths. Your bag also held vials of useless treatments, vinegar mixtures, powdered unicorn horn, and syrups made from poppies that might ease pain but wouldn't stop the disease. The most common items were herbs like lavender and rosemary, not to treat symptoms, but because people believed pleasant smells could drive away the bad air causing disease. The walk to your first house is quiet except for your own footsteps. Normally at this hour, bakers would be firing their ovens and milkmaids would be calling to customers. Now the streets hold only occasional piles of rotting straw, bedding thrown out after yet another death. You pass a boarded-up tavern where someone has painted "Lord have mercy" in white chalk across the door. When you reach the marked house, a teenage boy answers. His face is flushed with fever, but he insists he's fine. It's his mother who needs help. Inside, the air smells like sweat and something metallic. The woman lies on a straw mattress, her neck bulging with dark buboes. This sound means she has pneumonic plague, the deadliest form. You don't touch her directly. That's what the cane is for. Gently prodding her neck, you check the swellings. Contemporary guidelines suggest opening these tumors. Your knife is sharp, but you hesitate. Last week, 3 patients bled to death after similar procedures. The sun watches hopeful. Choosing the least harmful option, you mix vinegar and crushed garlic into a poultice. The patient screams when you apply it. Slipping the coins the sun offered you into your pouch, you tell him to burn all bedding immediately. Neither of you admits this means his mother probably won't survive the night. By midday, you've visited 6 houses. Some patients are already dead when you arrive. In one cellar apartment, a merchant offers you gold for what he calls the Venetian method, wrapping him in cold, wet sheets. You agree, though you know Venetians were dying just like everyone else. Your hands start shaking around noon. Not from fear, but hunger. You can't eat while wearing the mask, so you duck into an abandoned courtyard to lift it briefly. The bread in your pocket tastes like herbs from your beak's residue. While chewing, you notice dark stains on your sleeve, probably pus from that morning's first patient. As afternoon shadows lengthen, you check your municipal orders. Today's list specifies inspecting houses near the Tanner's Quarter. The smell here is unbearable even with your mask's herbs. At one shack, a wailing man drags you inside to see his toddler daughter. Her tiny fingers are blackening at the tips, a sign of septicemic plague. There's nothing you can do except murmur prayers while the father screams at saints who aren't listening. At sunset, you return to the health office. The clerk records 11 new cases on your tally sheet. He doesn't ask for details, just waves you away. Back in your quarters, you count today's earnings, enough to buy food, but not enough to quit. Scrubbing your hands with vinegar, you notice a new scratch near your wrist. You'll watch the mark for swelling, though you know by the time buboes appear, it's already too late. The candle burns low as you repack your satchel. Tomorrow will be the same. More feverish faces, more coins tossed onto deathbeds, more promises you can't keep. You blow out the flame, listening to distant church bells toll another mass funeral. Somewhere out there, fleas are jumping from dying rats to new victims, and when dawn comes, they'll send you again. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out. I'm curious to see where everyone is tuning in from, so drop your city and the local time in the comments below. See you soon.